A harbinger, the ancient mystery that holds the secret of America's future. And let me just say that this book has been on the New York Times bestseller for 37 weeks. Isn't that amazing? He's also going to be talking about his latest DVD, the Isaiah 9:10 Judgment. Listen, a lot of things have happened since the book came out. So we're going to be talking about prophecy that's come true since the last time he was here. So please welcome back to Jewish Voice my good friend, Messianic Rabbi Jonathan Cahn. Welcome back, my friend.
My blessing, Jonathan.
Wow. What a ride. I just want to say fantastic. God bless you on the
Praise
great
the
things he's done. I mean, that's just amazing. On the New York Times bestseller, 37 weeks straight.
Yeah. My mother's proud. You know, that's a Jewish mother.
Every Jewish boy wants their mother to be proud. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Talk about what's happened since the book came out.
We've been getting every week reports around the country from churches, or they're showing the film, or they're reading this, where there's revival or salvation or repentance, and there's movements for prayer, which is really what I was hoping would happen. It's even reaching Capitol Hill now, and we have reports.
Awesome.
We have a very famous member of Congress, which I can't say anything right now, but contacted, who read The Harbinger, came down to Ground Zero, prayed with us. We went to the Capitol with this person. They showed us into the Capitol, and we prayed in every room and prayed there. And I was just told last week that someone who's connected with Congress said there's another famous congressperson who said that there's something happening on Capitol Hill. There's a stirring among the believers there. He says it's linked to The Harbinger. They're reading it and taking it seriously.
For those, and the very few maybe that don't know what The Harbinger's about, haven't heard about it, which I think is fewer and fewer, give us an overview of The Harbinger.
Yeah,
okay?
The Harbinger is, in a nutshell, is the ancient mystery that holds the secret of America's future. It's a mystery that really lies behind everything from 9/11 to the collapse of the American economy to really what's happened in the last 10 years. And it's precise to the point where it speaks of what American leaders say before they say them, or the actions before they do them, and gives even the exact dates of the collapse of Wall Street down to the hours. And it is a mystery that goes in the last days of ancient Israel, a nation that knew God, was founded by him, turned away from him, and he sends warning to them. And the warning comes in the form of these 9 harbingers, or 9 that are identified in the book. Now, the eerie thing is, this led to their destruction because they didn't listen. But the eerie thing, or the scary thing, or the stunning thing is that those same 9 harbingers are now reappearing on American soil. Precisely, some are appearing in Washington, D.C., some have appeared in New York City, some have involved the highest leaders of the land, even the President of the United States, some have involved ceremonies. It affects every sphere of life.
The detail that the book goes into is absolutely astounding, which we'll talk about the specific signs when we come back from a break. Before we do one quick thing, you now have a documentary out.
That's
the Isaiah 9:10 Judgment.
Yes, that's the DVD form where people actually see the harbingers. They can actually see all these things happening. This is what's being played in churches throughout the country. I didn't produce it, WorldNet Daily did, but I'm on it, and that's become the #1 Christian video in the world right now. So
the #1 Christian DVD in the world. Wow. Folks, God is speaking. And let those that have an ear to hear, let them hear. When we come back, we'll look specifically at the 9 harbingers, the 9 signs that are appearing in America to warn this nation. We'll be right back.
At Jewish Voice, we're dedicated to spreading the gospel, the good news that Yeshua, Jesus, is the true Messiah, to the Jew first, and then to the nations. One way we do this is by locating and ministering to some of the most impoverished and needy Jewish people in the world, people who often die from medical conditions that here in the West could be easily treated. We're just a few weeks away from our next medical outreach to help an impoverished Jewish community in Ethiopia. Our team of volunteer medical professionals will provide completely free medical care, medicines, dental care, eye care, and glasses to help these people, many of whom have never even seen a doctor or dentist. Even more important than the physical help we provide, our medical ministry opens the door for us to share the gospel, the good news of God's love. Will you help us to help these people in such desperate need? We urgently need help to raise the funds needed for this outreach. Every gift, large or small, will make a difference in someone's life. With your gift of $60 or more, we will send you Messianic Rabbi Jonathan Cahn's 2-DVD album, The Isaiah 9:10 Judgment. Is there an ancient mystery that foretells America's future? These powerful videos are a follow-up to his best-selling book, The Harbinger, and they explore such questions as, are there prophetic mysteries behind 9/11 and the crash of the stock market? Are there shocking parallels between events that happened in the United States and the events that happened when ancient Israel turned away from God? And is America in danger of God's impending judgment? Is there anything Americans can do to prevent their nation from falling just as ancient Israel did? As you watch the Isaiah 9:10 Judgment, you'll discover answers to these questions and be better able to understand the events of today and what is coming tomorrow. In addition to this 2-DVD series, we'll also send you Jonathan Bernis's newly expanded and updated release of his book, A Rabbi Looks at the Last Days. In this limited hardcover edition of the book, you'll discover biblical prophecies that are being fulfilled right now and what that means to you. Surprising insights drawn from both the Old and New Testaments that will challenge almost everything you thought you knew about the end times and how you can help to usher in God's kingdom. As you respond with your gift of $60 or more, you will not only receive these 2 powerful spiritual resources, but you'll also be providing life-saving medical help to needy Jewish people and introducing them to the good news that Yeshua is indeed their true Messiah. Please call, click, or write right now and be as generous as possible. Thank you.
The key is, if a nation being warned by God does not turn back, then it will not just be one calamity, there will come more until judgment if it does not turn back to God. And that is what is going to come as foretold by the harbingers.
I'm back with one of my dear friends, an expert on prophecy. God has given an incredible revelation. Rabbi Jonathan Cahn is with us, and we're digging deeper into his book, The Harbinger, the ancient mystery that holds the secret of America's future. Jonathan, we had you here before, and there's some new things that have developed since the book, but I really want to go back to the book, first of all, and talk about these 9 signs, these 9 harbingers. Yes. Last time you were on, I don't know how many we got through, but it wasn't 9. It wasn't all of them. You go back and dig into the specifics of the signs that God gave the northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel, and you're seeing in great detail these signs, these warning signs being given to America. God is warning us. Let those that have an ear, let them hear. What are the 9 signs? Give us the 9 signs.
Okay, I'll try to do it, in a brief way just to get the feel of it. The first sign, the first harbinger is the breach. And this is a pattern in the Bible, not just with the northern kingdom, but also with Judah. Before the nation's destruction, God sends warning. And the key warning, or the first one, is the breach of the nation's defense. An attack is allowed on the nation that shakes it up, that it's limited, it's contained, and it's over, and it's a wake-up call for that nation to come back to God. And because then it's hanging in the balance. Happened with Judah, happened with Israel, years before their destruction. And so here it is now. Israel didn't wake up, and they defied God. So you have the harbingers. With America, the breach happens on September 11, 2001. When an enemy is allowed to make a strike in the land, it is temporary, it is contained, it's a wake-up call, and as you said, it was almost
changed everybody's life here, right? And everybody watching. You remember where you were on 9/11. You remember where you were on 9/11. Everybody does. It was a warning.
Yeah, and that's why you almost saw revival, what it said there. But we didn't. We have now done the same mistake that Israel did. We're following the exact same footsteps. Israel had a grace period before it was destroyed, hanging in the balance, and that's where we are now. The next harbinger is the sign of the Assyrian or the terrorist. It wasn't just that a strike happened. It was that it specifically happened by those who were literally terrorists. The Assyrians are the fathers of terrorism. They are the ones of Isaiah 9:10. They're of the harbinger. They're the ones who did this. They literally, every terrorist in the world comes from the Assyrians as a disciple of them. And not only literally, those who carried out 9/11 literally are from the same part of the land. Literally, they spoke the language to carry it out, which is the closest language to Akkadian, the language of the Assyrians. Literally, we were drawn into a war with in Iraq. Iraq is ancient Assyria as well. So even in that, the third harbinger comes from the vow. The vow is that Israel says, no, we're not going to repent, and they make this vow. It's in Isaiah. And they say, Isaiah 9:10, the bricks have fallen in the attack, but we will rebuild with hewn stone. The sycamores have been cut down in the attack, but we will plant cedars in their place. What they're saying is, God, you're not going to humble us. You're not going to make us repent. We're going to come back stronger against you and without you. And so that's an ominous thing. In that are the harbingers.
Everybody see that happening in America, don't we? Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And so they say the bricks are fallen. So literally the sign of the destruction were literally fallen bricks, falling buildings, fallen bricks, ruin heaps. That becomes also the main image of 9/11. Falling buildings, the ruin heaps, literally at ground zero, literally are fallen bricks in them as well. The fourth harbinger in the book is called the Tower. And that is the nation of Israel embarked, said, we're going to build stronger than ever, and with these bigger stones, we're going to build higher than ever, greater than ever, bigger than ever. And so they embark in this campaign to rebuild. It becomes a symbolic thing that we're coming back stronger on the ground of destruction. 9/11, America. After 9/11, this sign comes up and it says, a new icon will rise up from the ruins. This is the Tower. This is the one unfinished harbinger we're going to talk about later when we talk about what's happened since. It's going up. America says we're going to rebuild higher, stronger. The politicians vow this will be our sign of defiance. Literally, they use the word defiance.
In the book, this is not just concepts. In the book, it's word for. Yeah. We're talking about a word for word statements that were identical to what
identical. I mean, virtually,
said.
It's identical to what the leader said back then, and some matches the commentary, some matches. But exactly, this becomes the Tower of Defiance, and this is that we're going to show the world. That's what they said. I'm going very quick. The fifth harbinger is that it says, the bricks have fallen, but we will rebuild with hewn stone. So what they do is, the word in Hebrew is gazit. Gazit stone means a quarried out stone. They go to the mountains of Israel. They quarry out this massive blocks of quarried stone, tons, it's gigantic. They bring it back to the ground of destruction. It becomes the beginning of the rebuilding, becomes the sign of their defiance. What happens with America? After 9/11, the people of New York go up to the mountains of New York. They quarry out this massive stone. It's a biblical gazit stone, 20 tons of granite. They take the stone, according to the mystery, it's got to go back to where the bricks fell. They take it to New York. They lower it onto the pavement of ground zero. They have a ceremony around the stone. Leaders of New York and New Jersey gather around, the mayor, the governors, and they pronounce vows of defiance over the stone. And this stone is going to be the symbol of us rising stronger and better than ever. And even one of them, I mean, in the commentaries, it gives this phrase. It says about Isaiah 9:10. It says what they were doing this all in the quote spirit of defiance. Spirit of defiance. When the governor of New York pronounces his vows in a sense over the stone, he says we are doing this in the spirit of defiance. Same exact words, ceremony. Next harbinger down the list. It says the sycamores have fallen. Sycamores have fallen. This is a biblical sign of judgment, the cutting down of a tree, and particularly the sycamore. And so the enemy didn't just attack the cities, they attacked the land. So this is a symbol that God is warning you're going to be uprooted if you don't turn back. What does that have to do with America? In the last moments of 9/11, as the last tower is coming crashing down, it sends forth a shockwave, sends forth a beam, it strikes an object. The object just happens to be in the corner of ground zero, happens to be a tree. The tree happens to be the sycamore. The biblical symbol of judgment is struck down. The sycamores have fallen. The people of New York put the sycamore on display. They call it the sycamore of ground zero. People gather around and have no idea the biblical sign of judgment. The next sign. You go right down the vow they made of judgment. Next one is called the Erez tree. It says the sycamore has fallen, but we will plant cedars in their place. So here again, the Israelites are saying, we're going to defy you, God.
We're going to do it bigger. We're going to do it better.
A better tree and a stronger tree. It says right where the tree fell, we're going to put another tree, not a sycamore. It's going to be the cedar. It's going to be stronger, higher. course, they didn't speak English. They spoke Hebrew. They didn't say cedar. They said erez tree. That can be a cedar, can be a spruce. It means a evergreen panacea tree, very strong tree. So there's telling God again defiance. What does it have to do with America? After 9/11, a tree appears at the corner of Ground Zero. I mean, it's in the sky. It's being lowered by crane into an exact spot of Earth. They're putting it right where the sycamore had stood. It's replacing it just as it was in ancient times. They call it the tree of hope. They're going to say this is the symbol not of hope in God, but in the hope of our own power. And they have a ceremony around the tree, and a ceremony just like around the stone. What tree was it? It wasn't a sycamore. It was a biblical erez tree. It was the panacea tree. It was the same tree as in Isaiah 9:10. Next one, the eighth harbinger, is the utterance itself, that actually the people of the leaders of Israel had to actually proclaim this vow. And they would have done it in the capital city, and it sets the course towards judgment, the leaders saying this vow. Could this happen in America? What leader in their right mind is going to say a vow of judgment, pronouncing judgment on America? 3 years after 9/11, an American leader gets up in the capital city. It's John Edwards running for president. Vice president. He's a senator, well known. He says, I've got this word. It's 9/11. He's talking about September 11th, the attack. He says, here's the word I have. The bricks have fallen, but we will rebuild with hewn stone. He actually, out of his mouth comes the ancient vow, word for word, and his entire speech, not only that, he builds the entire speech around Isaiah 9:10. He says, we're going to put up those cedars where the sycamores fell. He doesn't know what he's doing. Right. This is judgment on America. And the last one, I'm going real quick, but the last one is said the day after 9/11. The very day the Congress gathers on Capitol Hill, America is going to give its official response, so it's very important. One man is chosen. He's the leader of the Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle. He gets up in front of the entire Congress of America, and he says, at the end of his speech, he's presenting America's response. He says, there is a word, passage from Isaiah that I think speaks to all of us at times like this. And then out of his mouth comes the ancient vow of judgment to Capitol Hill. The bricks have fallen, we will rebuild. He speaks about the tree that struck down. He doesn't even know it's actually happening. It's actually being discovered that day. He says the stone's going to go up. It's like prophecy. He doesn't realize what he's saying, but he's setting the course, and he says this is what we will do. In other words, we will do Isaiah 9:10. This is going to set the course for the next period up until now of America, and this is going to lead to the next shaking of America. It is pronouncing judgment on our nation.
Wow. Coincidence? I don't think so. God incidents. This is divinely orchestrated. Hey, we have to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the things that have happened since the book came out, because we are racing towards judgment. We have so much more ahead with Messianic Rabbi Jonathan Cahn. Don't go away.
At Jewish Voice, we're dedicated to spreading the gospel, the good news that Yeshua, Jesus, is the true Messiah, to the Jew first, and then to the nations. One way we do this is by locating and ministering to some of the most impoverished and needy Jewish people in the world, people who often die from medical conditions that here in the West could be easily treated. We're just a few weeks away from our next medical outreach to help an impoverished Jewish community in Ethiopia. Our team of volunteer medical professionals will provide completely free medical care, medicines, dental care, eye care, and glasses to help these people, many of whom have never even seen a doctor or dentist. Even more important than the physical help we provide, our medical ministry opens the door for us to share the gospel, the good news of God's love. Will you help us to help these people in such desperate need? We urgently need help to raise the funds needed for this outreach. Every gift, large or small, will make a difference in someone's life. With your gift of $60 or more, we will send you Messianic Rabbi Jonathan Cahn's 2-DVD album, The Isaiah 9:10 Judgment. Is there an ancient mystery that foretells America's future? These powerful videos are a follow-up to his best-selling book, The Harbinger, and they explore such questions as, are there prophetic mysteries behind 9/11 and the crash of the stock market? Are there shocking parallels between events that happened in the United States and the events that happened when ancient Israel turned away from God? And is America in danger of God's impending judgment? Is there anything Americans can do to prevent their nation from falling just as ancient Israel did? As you watch the Isaiah 9:10 Judgment, you'll discover answers to these questions and be better able to understand the events of today and what is coming tomorrow. In addition to this 2-DVD series, we'll also send you Jonathan Bernis's newly expanded and updated release of his book, A Rabbi Looks at the Last Days. In this limited hardcover edition of the book, you'll discover biblical prophecies that are being fulfilled right now and what that means to you. Surprising insights drawn from both the Old and New Testaments that will challenge almost everything you thought you knew about the end times and how you can help to usher in God's kingdom. As you respond with your gift of $60 or more, you will not only receive these 2 powerful spiritual resources, but you'll also be providing life-saving medical help to needy Jewish people and introducing them to the good news that Yeshua is indeed their true Messiah. Please call, click, or write right now and be as generous as possible. Thank you.
I'm back with my good friend, Messianic Rabbi Jonathan Cahn, who's written an amazing book, The Harbinger, which is now on DVD, and it's the #1 Christian documentary of 2012. Jonathan, we're talking, we just talked about or you just shared the 9 harbingers specifically. Great job getting through those, and you go into them in detail in the book. I want to talk about what's happened since the Harbinger, but before I do that, we're going to touch on the mystery of the Shemitah. Talk about that.
Yeah, the Shemitah is, and there's so much to this, the Shemitah is the day, is the Sabbath rest, the year that Israel had every 7 years. And on the last day, all debts are wiped out, all credits wiped out. It's called Elul 29. That is the day that, and it was to be a blessing, but it became a sign of judgment when the nation turned away from God. The Shemitah came as a sign of judgment against a nation that has driven God out of its life and put money ahead. It strikes the financial realm. And what does it have to do with America? Everything, down to the days, down to the hours. The greatest crash in American history, 2008, September, happened on the exact day of the Shemitah, the day Elul 29 ordained for the wiping away of financial accounts. And 7 years before, you go 7 years, it's a 7-year mystery. Go back 7 years, you have the other greatest crash in American history up to that day. When did that take place? It happened on the exact same biblical day of the Shemitah. Exact same day, exactly 7 years apart, biblical years to the days, to the hours. And not only was it on that day, there's only 1 in 7 years that can be that day. They both happen on the exact once in 7 years, ordained to the hours. That's a sign of judgment on a nation's financial realm.
What's amazing is how exacting and the detail that this is revealed in, and the Lord's warning is so exacting. We don't have much time, but I want you to just touch on one thing that's happened since the book came out.
Yeah, and we'll get into more in the next part. But yeah, one of the signs of judgment in the Bible, and you can read this again and again, is it has to do with trees, and again, but a little differently. It has to do with God says the trees will wither. He speaks about the withering of trees, breaking off its branches, it will not bloom. This whole thing, and specifically also the cutting down of the Erez tree, or the destroying of the Erez tree. Okay, we spoke about one of the signs of it, which is the Erez tree, which is that thing called the tree of hope. That's there. That's the 7th harbinger, and we're going to have hope, but it's not God. I was there just a few weeks ago with this Congress person who I just mentioned, and we were all gathered around there. And what's happening is the tree of hope is withering away. It is literally, everybody was in shock. The congressman literally fell to the ground in prayer. Its branches are cut off. It is being held up by a rope. It is death all around it. They're trying, no matter what they try to do to keep this thing alive.
They planted it as a sign of hope, but it's actually dying. It's
withering, and they're trying everything to save it, and they can't. All around it is green. Everything is green. But the tree of hope is withering away as the sign that's in the Bible. And everything near it, there's a line of bushes, about 8 bushes. The first 4 that are near the tree are totally dead. What's around, the one right next to it, after that, is alive. It is a symbol of death, to the point where, again, where this congressperson was just praying.
They have no idea why.
They have no idea why.
But we know why.
It is withering away, and you see this in the Bible as the sign, as the symbol of that there's no hope. But
oh, my goodness. We are out of time. We're going to have you back. We need you to come back next week.
Yes.
Now, if you want to learn more about the harbingers that are signs that God is giving America concerning impending judgment, you can get a copy of Jonathan Cahn's incredible DVD, Isaiah 9:10 Judgment. We'll be right back.
Coming this summer, July 13th through July 20th. Join Jonathan Bernis and his family on a spectacular Alaskan cruise. You'll experience teachings and praise and worship in some of the most breathtaking and rugged scenery in the world. This is a voyage you won't want to miss. Be sure to join us in beautiful Alaska.
For over 45 years, our purpose as a ministry here at Jewish Voice has been to proclaim the gospel. We share with the Jew first, but we reach out to all people around the world. And in doing so, we've made it our mission to help Jewish communities in need. And we have been able to reach tens of thousands just this year with medical care, eye care, dental care, all free of charge. But most importantly, we share the gospel. And it's because of your financial support that we are making a difference in their lives. I want you to know that anything that you can do today as the Lord leads you will make a difference in people's lives forever. Now, as our way of saying thank you, there's a few things I want to send you. First of all, Jonathan Cahn's 2 DVD set, the Isaiah 9:10 Judgment. This is the #1 Christian documentary of the year. And God has given Jonathan amazing revelation that actually parallels the warnings that God gave to Israel before they were taken into captivity. And listen to me, the same warnings are being given to America in exact detail. Jonathan goes into this in great detail. It's one of the most amazing revelations I've ever heard, and I believe that you need to hear what God is saying through this man. By the way, I just came out with a new book called A Rabbi Looks at the Last Days. It's actually a complete rewrite